need to make some fundamental changes. He wasn't quite at my level, and yeah, we did that. But I'm glad he's back in the gym. It's good for him. Probably good for his soul to be still in love with boxing.
Just when you have a listen to what he said after the fight, have a listen to this.
I felt I did enough in the later rounds to nick it, but George, he had a great game plan. He was on form and he stuck out to the end. Yeah, George headbutted me a lot in that fight. I don't know how he didn't get points taken away from him, but.
All right. Are you fucking serious? E-King Fight News. Y'all know what it is. Your boy Chris Eubank Jr. Did he just say he thought he did enough in the later rounds to nick the fight? I mean, I'm not sure. You know what? Unfortunately, I saw all 11 rounds and then I missed the 12th. I have the fight, but I know what happened, okay? They went back and forth. Apparently, George Groves dislocates his shoulder. I think at the end of the 11th, he comes out for the 12th with a dislocated shoulder and still fancies his way through the round. Not really badly hurt at any stage of that round at all. They traded shots, and I mean, George Groves was well ahead in the 11th round. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Looking back at that, Groves is ahead on points. I was saying after 6 rounds, I'm like, yeah, I think I got 4-2 George Groves. And I didn't see George Groves losing any rounds from 6 to 9. So around the 8th round, I'm like, 9th round, I'm like, damn, I think Groves has already won 7 rounds. I'm just saying this to myself. And if you've won 7 rounds, you've won the fight, right? In case you haven't figured that out. So for Chris Eubanks to say, oh, you know what? I thought I did enough in the later rounds. Get the fuck out of here. That was not an even fight. If it's an even fight going into the later rounds, then you can say that. And if you finish strong, okay. I mean, it happened to Felix Trinidad. It happened to Timothy Bradley. It happened to a lot of these guys, and then, everyone wants to cry robbery. But my goodness, if Eubanks somehow got a decision like that, there would definitely be an uproar. And credit to the World Boxing Super Series. I mean, all in all, the judging, I think, has been pretty fair. I mean, I know that Usyk fight was pretty close, but I edged it to Usyk, and I think Groves clearly won on points, no doubt about it. Groves was doing quite well. In fact, I think I have some videos of my during the fight thoughts, and yeah, I mean, great fight, but I have Groves up on points. So, Eubank was obviously wrong about a lot of things, and for him to even consider the fact that he could have won a decision is insane. I mean, he went 12 rounds, but even he should know he got clearly outboxed. He's the one holding he's the one holding the ice pack on his bruised cheek, or his puffy friggin' eye. Like, you wonder how you fucking like you can tell you're losing when you have that injury to deal with. And of course he had that, he did have an awful cut over his eye, but I cannot even excuse the fact that to even consider, let's say he didn't have that cut. I mean, does that completely change the fight? Because any great boxer, and I know Eubank is a young kid still. He hasn't really fully matured as a championship fighter at all. Because I saw what he did against Billy Joe Saunders. I saw exactly what happened. I mean, he lost clearly on points. But it was super close. But I thought Billy Joe that was a fight where Billy Joe just nicked it. And you think, okay, well, it was a super close fight. I mean, look at what happened with Billy Joe and Dave Lemieux, you know. I mean, the Eubank Jr. and Billy Joe Saunders fight, that was a super competitive fight. It was back and forth. And it was Billy Joe outboxing Eubanks, though. However, that's what it was as well. It was, for the majority of the fight, Billy Joe was outboxing Eubanks pretty handedly. And Eubanks was sort of young and sloppy, and he couldn't get a rhythm or a set of punches together. He was doing the same thing he did in this fight. He was looking for one shot at a time, one big shot, and he was loading up. And I know what I've seen, and I haven't. That means he hasn't improved as a fighter from that point in time up until now. That's a problem. That's a problem for Eubanks, and that's something he's got to figure out. But for him to say he possibly won this fight on points is ridiculous. It is absolutely absurd. But let's get back to this. This is interesting. Shout out to Scott. Shout out to Scott.
One-on-one combat, you know, you do what you have to do, and you know, that's what he did.
So there he is, saying that the cuts were down to headbutts. How do you respond? How do you respond to that? How do you respond to that?
The cuts were down to a clash of heads, so I got a little tiny nick above my eye as well. Far from clash of heads, and you see from clash of heads, and you see there's a slow mo.
Alright, I gotta apologize for this feed. Not the best feed in the world, but okay, anyways. I think that Eubanks needs to get it together. As a fighter, I mean, I'm not gonna say this loss was inexcusable. I think he can come back from this. It's interesting. What he said in the aftermath, after the decision was read in the interview. You know, he stepped up and said, "Hey, there's a guy out there named Caleb Truax that just beat James DeGale. We can make that fight happen." So that's the right attitude for a Chris Eubank Jr. That's the right attitude, and I think that's a very interesting fight. Caleb Truax and Chris Eubank Jr. can put on a great fucking show, and if you're Caleb Truax, you might jump at making that fight. You might jump at it because you might be saying, "Hey, I could beat this fucking Eubank kid too." And the way those two fight, if Truax wants to get on the inside and get gritty, this can be like an awesome fight actually. So that would be something to look forward to. I mean, the cut over the eye, that's gonna linger with him for a while. If you consider the amount of scar tissue that it's gonna be in that area, man, Eubanks might not be the same fighter after this. I mean, confidence-wise, you put him up against a slick ring general like that again. You know, even a similar fighter to George Groves. Let's say, God forbid if he ever fought Andre Ward, but even a guy like a Carl Froch. Wow, you know, if your boy George Groves did that to Chris Eubanks, imagine what Carl Froch would have done. Wow, that would have been something. That would have been something to see. But anyways, E-King Fight News. You know what it is, man. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and Chris Eubanks, man. How is he gonna come back from this? It's hard to say. I think the Caleb Truax is a good fight for him. I think that's probably a very intriguing matchup. Even his dad was fucking harsh on him. He was like, his dad was like, our tactics were not right. I knew he wanted to knock him out with one shot, but he just couldn't do it. I mean, George Groves is spot on. He was spot on. Oh, man. His dad, he's being truthful but polite at the same time. So, Chris Eubank Sr. Obviously, I think preparation, his preparation may not be at world level. I mean, a guy like Chris Eubank Jr. should have the best sparring. From what I heard, he has gone to the Mayweather gym and pretty much sparred with all those guys over there. So it's interesting why he had so much trouble with just the basic boxing that George Groves was giving to him. And the way he was talking, he seemed like this would be an easy fight, easy work, and it was a lot of talk, but there was no action in terms of getting the job done and pulling the victory from the jaws of defeat. And Chris Eubank couldn't do it on that night. So for now, let me know what you guys think about the finals. And on a side topic, what do you guys think about Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz? That's a great fight as well. He can't fight this, man.